Hi guys, today we're going to do section 1.4, which is a review of how to work with integers and do the operations on them. So this is nothing new for you. You've been doing this in middle school in Algebra 1 and Algebra 2, so this should be a nice short review for you. So basically we're talking about integers today. Remember, integers are all our negative numbers, 0, and our positive numbers. Now, we're going to talk about opposite numbers, okay? Opposite numbers is two numbers, excuse me, that are equal distance from 0, okay? One is going to be a positive. So if I have a positive 2, what is the other number that is equal distance from 0 that is 2 units? And that would be negative 2. So that's how we get a positive and a negative, because they have to be equal distance from 0. So that's what opposite numbers are. Now, opposite numbers are confused with absolute values. Absolute values is the distance, okay? We're not interested in the number per se. We're interested in the distance that that number is from 0. So because we're dealing with distance, our absolute values always have to be positive. So here's an example. Here's my absolute value. Remember, the absolute value signs are the two straight lines. Everything that is inside of that is going to be positive. Okay, so the absolute value of negative 4 is going to be positive 4, because we're talking about what is the distance negative 4 is from 0. The absolute value of 2 is going to be still 2. Okay, remember, it always has to be positive. We're not talking about opposite numbers where we think, okay, this has to be negative 2. No, we're talking about the distance. So it's got to be a positive 2. Now, we're going to run into situations that look like this, where I've got the absolute value of a negative 4, but I have a negative sign in front of it. The final answer of it is going to be negative 4, but we still follow the rules of working with our absolute value. So we're going to take, what is the absolute value of a negative 4? It's positive 4, but this negative sign outside the absolute value signs is what makes that that positive 4 now negative. Okay, so it really is following the rules. Absolute value of negative 4 is 4, but that negative sign now turns that positive 4 to negative. Okay, the rest of the notes are short and simple because we're dealing with the rules of working with adding and subtracting negative and positive numbers, and multiplying and dividing with negatives and positive numbers. So you should remember this. If I'm adding or subtracting numbers, if I have same signs, when I add or subtract, I'm going to end up adding the numbers and then use sign of the numbers. So, example 2 plus 3, both of them are positive. We did this in kindergarten. Our answer is a positive 5. If I have a negative 3 plus a negative 4, and you normally see it like this with parentheses around the negative 4, these are both negative numbers, so we add them together, and I get 7, and I have to use the sign that they are, and it is negative 7. Now, what happens if I have opposite signs? Okay, opposite signs, I am going to take larger number, subtract smaller number, and then use the sign of the larger number. So if I've got the case here, let's do 2, and I have plus a negative 7. Okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to go ahead, take my larger number, which looking at this, the book talks about taking the absolute value. Basically, just like we did up above, what's the absolute value of a -7? It's a +7. So when I say look at the larger number, look at the actual number. Don't worry about the signs. We already know they're opposite. So look at the number itself, and I've got 7. It's bigger than 2. So I'm going to subtract 7 minus 2, which is 5. Now I need to go back and look at what is the sign of the larger number. We said 7 was the larger number. It's got a negative sign, so my answer is -7. Now, remember, there's that little trick. What happens if I have 3 subtract a -2? Okay, remember, when I have 2 negatives side by side with no number in between, that turns to a positive. So I really end up with 3 plus 2, and my final answer is 5. Okay, so that's doing addition and subtraction. Remember, multiplication and division, they have the same rules. And if I have both numbers have same signs, we're going to have a positive number. So 2 times 3 is 6. Those are both positive. And -3 times a -4 give me a +12. So it doesn't matter if they're both positive or negatives. If they're the same for both of them, I get a positive answer. If I have one negative and one positive, my answer is going to be negative. Let's just write that out, negative. So if I got -2 times 3, my answer is going to be a -6. Now, there's the nice little rule. If I have even negative signs, my answer will always be positive. So let's say I have 4 numbers that are all negative. My final answer is going to be a positive because there's an even amount of negative signs. If I have an odd amount of negative signs, my answer will always be negative. Okay, so those are the basic rules that you've been working with since middle school. Do not forget that we need to use the order of operations, okay? And to take things in order, remember addition and subtraction had the same value, so we worked left to right. Same thing with multiplication and division, they have the same value. So if I get all my problems down to left multiplication and division, I'm going to start from the left and work my way to the right. Okay, guys, read the instructions carefully. Don't rush too fast because this seems simple to you. Little mistakes can hurt you. Good luck on it.